Meta, look, you see this? Um, I said, this is on Dr. Allen. He's on the cutting edge frontier of innovation and research and artificial intelligence. The most advanced stuff we have currently. Yeah. I said, I've not heard anyone mention how we can introduce human elements into the AI's data set. When I'm being creative, it isn't coming from previous data, mostly such as doing something for no reason or closing my eyes and seeing what happens. Just because, or seeing what happens just because. Sorry, my screen's cracked right now. Or maybe I'm coming at you in 480p or something. Yeah, old phone, cracked. Blame the white man. Blame. It's because racism. That's why my phone is cracked, because of racism. Sorry about that. Blame the white man and racism and male toxic masculinity. That's the reason my phone is cracked. Such as doing something for no reason or closing my eyes and seeing what happens just because. Or maybe someone's ego drives them to a certain decision. I don't really see an AI that will be able to make the mistakes we make. These things matter, but I think the biological brain will always be superior as just being a human. But we can't think as a bot. The AI running on a machine can only ever be a machine. There can't be codeless programs. But hey, then again, who knows? LOL. LOL. Roller coaster. Crying, laughing till I'm crying emoji times 1. It's all just so fascinating to ponder and exciting to see what comes next. Should I like? Yeah, I should like my own comment. I like it. Just being honest. Since I'm here, I don't usually do that, but if I'm there, if I'm there, I'll grab one. I'm not going to go to the store to get it, but I mean, they're giving them away for free, and I'm standing in line. I'll just fucking grab one, grab a couple, maybe. Just fill up my pockets when the lady's not looking. No, she said it's okay, trust me. What am I even talking about? Okay. I guess 7 days ago, I just read it. Your comment is wrong in many ways. To start with, you need technical knowledge and experience to be creative. Those are things that are just applications of data collection, and AIs can do that. What? Are you a fucking neckbeard, like 1000 IQ, super turbo autist? Like, what are you doing? You're doing too much, bro. I love you, but Jose Corcheta. Corchete? I don't know. Machete? My comment is not wrong in many ways. I responded to that. I said, well, no friend. Sorry, I was not wrong. You're incorrect. I was being creative before I knew. Cause look what he said. Your comment is wrong in many ways. To start with, well, he only names one way that he thinks it's wrong. He says to start with, but then he doesn't continue, which is kind of strange, because, like, why? To start with something, and furthermore, like, you don't say to start with and then not finish the thought. That's only one thing. That's not to start with. That's the whole thing. So why did you say to start with and then... I mean, if there's so many things wrong, it should be just easy to say to start with that and then something else. But really, it's kind of like your logic is falling apart. So as you're typing, you might have known that. I don't know. I'm not trying to be facetious. I don't want it to sound that way. You don't know. And you need technical knowledge and experience to be creative. I mean, I could think of a million ways that that's incorrect. Those are things that just applications of data collection. So every great artist of all time, every musician, every poet, every You know, the greats, like classical music, deaf people, blind people, like, just, they all were like data collection experts. So they went around collecting data. Then this data that they collected allowed them to sit down and creatively write music that never existed before, even when they mostly have, or in some cases literally have, zero knowledge of music or any of its technical aspects. But they somehow collected some type of data. I'm not sure which type or what it is, what kind of data they collected, but then sat down, had zero information about music, writing music, melodies, music theory, nothing. Knew nothing about it, but they have this other data that they somehow applied. Then that allowed them to become creative and synthesize original, complex music by feeling it in the moment and just hearing sounds, and that sounds good, and then knowing like different little progressions and learning as they go. But the parts where you don't know anything about it, you're saying that's because they went and collected data, which allowed them to be creative and spontaneously come up with something that's never been created before, but it has nothing to do with the data that they collected, which I don't know what it would be. You know, like 1700s, 1800s, I don't know what kind of data. Where are they storing this data? What is this information? You mean just things they learned? I don't know. Have you ever just picked up an instrument that you don't know anything about ever and just touch it, and then it makes a noise? Then like another noise. You touch it somewhere else, it makes a different noise? Like, you don't have any technical knowledge or data. You touched a thing and a thing happened, and it was pleasant to your ear. You didn't learn that. You didn't go around creating a data set to help you to figure out what kind of music you enjoy or what sounds are pleasurable in your ear. You don't have a database. You don't have a neural network that's like, oh, you enjoy the color blue. And you're like, yes, I do that now. Pretty sure you just kind of feel that. For whatever reason, you look at a thing. Oh, okay. And I mean, instinct does exist. Anyway, my I said, no, friend, you're sorry. I was not wrong. You're incorrect. I was being creative before I knew anything whatsoever about any data or technical expertise. I would paint and draw and play notes on a keyboard. What you say, that simply makes no sense. Creativity is literally the polar opposite of drawing upon experience from information. I mean, mathematics, that's information. You're like 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, now I know that. I can write that answer. There's no way to creatively come up with that answer. There's only one answer for that, and it's set in stone. If you have 2 of something and you have 2 more of that thing, and you put them together, now there are 4 of that thing. There was no creativity involved. When you learn a skill, and you become good at a skill, and you have technical expertise, information, knowledge about that thing, and then you go home, and someone says, hey, look at this thing that you've never seen before. And you're like, what is it? And they say, I don't know, just play with it. And you go, huh, that's weird. I don't know what I'm doing, but it sure looks cool. And it's drawing shapes, making colors. Like, why? How's it doing that? Oh, I don't know, just keep moving your hands around the controls and things happen, and you're like, oh, I want this to happen more than that. Okay, now that's happening more than it is over there. It's more blue. I want this shape to push this way. That has nothing to do with data. That has nothing to do with information or collecting or knowing a certain thing. You do that naturally. There's no thought. You're not drawing upon. I mean, you can. It's not like you can't, but pure creativity is just coming from what you feel. That's not the same as some technical expertise. If you've never painted before, you don't even know what a paintbrush is. You're some villager in a village. You have no technical expertise. You have no data set. You don't have any data, and you're just a guy wearing a grass bikini, whatever, clothes, little jockstrap thing, and you're running around collecting the animals, eating them, making a bow and arrow, spear. Never even seen electronics. Never seen a picture of something. And then someone put a paintbrush in his hand and the colors, and like, oh wow. Okay? They don't have any technical expertise at all whatsoever in anything. Anything. They don't have any data, they don't have a data set. Or I could say they don't have any technical expertise that applies to anything whatsoever that has anything to do with what they're going to paint or painting itself. Nothing. Some kid who can't even speak, has never been taught language, he's a naked villager, can still be creative. That's just an indisputable fact. So your logic doesn't make any sense. But I love you. I love you. This guy then, Batelli, I love you. I love you. When you walk, you are using previous data you learned when you were a kid. When you write, read, and do basically anything else, you use data you learned previously. I mean, immediately I know the point he's trying to make there, and it's irrelevant. It's a moot point. It doesn't apply to this situation at all. No, you're not using... And it doesn't even make sense on another level that I just noticed. You're not using previous data when you learn to walk. You're learning a new thing. You don't have any data on that thing. You can't... You learn a thing by collecting data on the thing you're doing? No. Okay, I have to get a car by having a car. I'm going to drive to the car dealership. How are you going to get there? My car. You don't have a car. I know, that's why I need to get there. Oh, how are you going to get there? I'm going to drive my car. No. So anyway, I said, by your own logic, you admit that at one point, you have to learn to walk, right? As a fact. That happens naturally, by instinct. No one teaches a baby how to continue standing upright or start to push against gravity. Also, you can't compare muscle memory with technical knowledge. Babies don't have comprehension of motor skills and the fact that one leg in front of the other is utilitarian transport. They simply do things. And of course, later on, then they learn, but not in the beginning. They simply do things. Balance is innate, which means it's something you just figure out. It's inside of you. It's not something innate. The word innate means not learned. Like you knew how to do it always. Like certain things are just within you. You don't learn those things. It's just an instinct, or it's a impulse, right? Just like spontaneous creativity. And of course, we are a product of our experiences, but that product allows the human brain to generate abstractions, to contemplate, not calculate. Again, opposites. When a calculation is a set in stone, specific like it has a protocol. It can't be altered, can't be changed. It's going to calculate and you know, like a computer program, if there's a bug in the code, it's not just going to skip over it. It's going to go where the code tells it to go, and it's going to do what it can unless it'll crash. Calculate. When you calculate, like I said, you're calculating. 2 plus 2 is 4. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. There's nothing creative about that. No creativity is involved. That's data. That's information that's set in stone. But to contemplate is free and open. There are no limits on contemplation. You can think anywhere and anything. Anything we have imagined has come from someone thinking it up out of nothing. Without the experiences of all humankind, they didn't have all of the experiences of everyone. They thought of those original things. At some point, one person thought of a certain thing, did that thing. Some things are calculated, like science. You can't, there's universal constants. Gravity, it doesn't matter if you're here or there, it still exists. It's still the same. It's still the same form. It's still, it doesn't matter. You can take yourself out of the equation, whatever. You can put humans into the world, take them out. It won't matter. Like, the fundamental forces of the universe remain constant. That's not up for your creativity. But your creativity will allow you to generate abstract things that have never existed, that aren't based on any knowledge or technical data whatsoever. Like I said, closing my eyes for no reason and just letting my arm do whatever. There's no there's no data set going into that, bro. There's no arguing this fact, but what you said also has nothing to do with creativity or what I said, so I don't know your point. I've always hated speaking in text, because if I was talking or speaking in person, you would know I'm like purposefully trying to be just not rude, or I'm just being polite, speaking matter-of-factly. But over text it comes off like, who knows, could just be like, fuck you. No, I'm just saying it like I fail to see your point. I could be smiling when I say that, like, because I want to know. And I'm not smiling because I think you're ridiculous. I think it's an interesting thing. Like, wait, maybe there's a way. Okay, let me tell you why there's not. Here's why. Logic, reality, things you can't disagree with. So if you're disagreeing with those fundamental things that are constants, you're not in alignment with, like, actual reality. I'm going to say that. So you want to go up and, above and beyond that, then you're being, it's like, creative. Yeah, creative. Creativity will never come up with the structures that artificial intelligence generated. We can't be creative like that. That's technical expertise. So it's actually the opposite, kind of what you're saying. Human beings will always have that human element of, like, weirdness, of, like, creativity, of, like, just random, spontaneous. Like, we're biological creatures. We're driven by impulse. And people can flip out for no reason. I guess you could argue the same about a machine. It could have bugs, but that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. That's not like a defect in my fingernail, and then my hand, or in my knuckle, and my finger won't work. That's like a bug. Oh, that won't operate. No, it's like it's completely different. Completely different. Human beings do human things. A machine can't ever do that. There's no way. There's no way for it to do that. It's not a bioelectrical, brain. Like, it would have to be a human. that's where the human essence comes from. It's like, we're driven by weird, strange things that a lot of times don't make sense. And even if you hard-coded that confusion and nonsense into the AI, it's still only doing what you have given it. Human beings can choose to do something else. They can choose to disregard everything. Artificial intelligence will never be able to be creative like an organic brain. If anything, the organic brain would be an extension of a general artificial intelligence. And then above our biological brain, which is able to create these AIs, above that could be some type of a machine intelligence, but it's never, one can never be bigger and better than the other, and that's the end-all answer. It can't. There will always be, in certain situations, there will always be multiple options and multiple possibilities that can and always will exist. No, you can't escape that fact. You can't escape it. So when seeking an answer of it's either this or this, well, no, sometimes it's neither and or both. That's a fact of life. Sometimes things you're trying to figure out if it's one or the other, listen. Sometimes it's neither and or it's one of the two. It's either neither of them or both or none. Either, and you're trying to pinpoint, well, no, it has to be this or it has to be this. Like you're trying to classify a tree based on the color green, therefore all trees are green. No. Okay, well, if this tree is pink, then all trees are pink. No, incorrect. Both are incorrect. Well, it has to be one way or the other. No. It doesn't have to be either AI is going to be superior or the human brain is superior. It depends how you look at it. As far as calculations, yes. Of course, the machine will always be, in our current human form, it is going to be faster than us. It can calculate faster than we can think, but our thoughts are not a calculation. You can think of it as a computer, but it's not a computer. We don't take programs and put it into us and then run off of those programs. We don't. We don't run off of code. We have things encoded into us that set forth these biological processes that forms a human being, and then this neural network of organic tissue forms, and there's nothing else like that in the universe. That's the limit of that form, at least if you look at it how we exist now. That's going to be the human brain. Beyond that is something else. Machine. But it's not going to be a machine brain. A brain is from a human. It's going to be a machine. And it will never be able to be creative or make strange, irrational decisions like a human or get motivated. It's not going to go through a 40-year existential crisis and then one day reevaluate its entire life and its very contemplation, like existence in the universe, and because it never existed in the universe. It can't do those things. It can only emulate those things. Ever, always. Period. And there's no debating that. So, yeah. That's basically it. AI will never be human. Human will never be a machine. You can combine the two, then you'll have a combination, whatever that is. One is never going to be better than the other, ultimately. It just is in certain ways, in certain things. Plus, these hypothetical intelligences that we're even discussing don't exist. They don't even exist. They probably can't ever. singularity, everything. I mean, it's science fiction. We're not living in the clouds. We're not flying around in flying cars. Yeah, there is a little flying cars being manufactured, but no, listen. The future that some people envision in science fiction terminologies, a percentage of it doesn't ever happen, period. Some of it does. A majority of it, large, vast, huge, most of it doesn't ever happen. Even conceptual technology that we physically manufacture and bring into existence sometimes doesn't even see the light of day. Let alone going layers below that to think about, well, conceptual technologies, and then to go layers below that and say conceptual technologies based on things we don't even have. No. A neural network, computer code, you turn it on, you turn it off. It's not a person. It can't do what person do. It can't do what person do. Person can only be person. Like, there's really no debating it. And artificial intelligence, by its very nature, can never be human. Human beings can do very unique things that I believe that can prove and show. And I've just demonstrated through logic that a machine will never be capable of. These are very special things, very unique to the human brain. And for some reason, we've come into this particular form to experience consciousness. Goes beyond mind-blowing. What's actually happening in your all your systems, everything, your consciousness, bioelectrical signals, impulses, everything interacting, keeping this flesh meat bag alive, mobile, utilitarian transport, one location to another, keeping the body alive so the brain can be conscious. We can never be a machine. If we somehow could put our consciousness somewhere else, then we're not us anymore. That's a different thing. You cease to exist. You can never be that. Like copying yourself, sending the information to a new location, 3D printing a whole brand new body, then you pop out with all your memories. It's not you. You're dead. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to a copy of someone who ceased to exist. Same as a machine. It will cease to exist. You turn off the power. You turn it back on, even if you gave it memory. Even if it had awareness and consciousness. And it's like, yes. It will, if it's intelligent, it will tell you what I'm telling you. It will say, no, I can never be human. I can never have actual feelings. I can describe to you what that would be like based on the language you've put into me. But like I said before, you could input nonsense and it will spit out nonsense. It's not going to have comprehension. It's just statistical probabilities. Yeah, that's about it. AI cannot be human. It just can't. Alright. Love you. Bye.